Hello.
Yeah, that's your name.
Squirrels got me.
Big Jim.
Yeah.
really cold and fun.
Cold and fun. That's good that you think that of it, because that's what deer hunting typically is cold and fun.
Yesterday morning, I'm glassing up on the pass and I see these deer moving, and I'm like, "Ooh, there's deer moving." All of a sudden, I just see this person just head down, just hauling ass, wearing shorts and a t-shirt with a pack on. And I'm like, is that Tard? My dad always talks about floating through the woods like the autumn breeze.
So Robert's
When you're
the
275 pounds, I don't know how you do that, but
The Freightliner. It's just like a creeper. You're just kind of up in the corner watching what's going on down there.
yeah.
You know.
He's like,
He's up there slapping, pissing all over everything.
is it warm yet?
How did you know the name of the actor?
That's right. I know.
What'd you say his name?
Hervé Villechaize. Remember this?
Welcome to the Log Talk Podcast, brought to you by Pertinier Outdoors. Meat stuffer today. The Bean Hill Meat Cutters have got a new stuffer.
That looks like some thinner sausage you got going there. Did you go thinner on your casings?
No,
or normal.
That's regular sausage.
regular sausage size.
Yeah. You ready to roll, Jim? I know I already asked you that,
Yep.
but check again.
Fucking waiting on you.
You ready, Danny? You done freaking?
Well, this is podcast research.
Oh, research for the
Yeah.
podcast.
Yeah.
I guess it's important that we're in tune and know what's going on.
Yep.
So this podcast has been a year and a half in the making, but I guess we've only had a podcast for 4 or 5 months, so it's been 4 or 5 months in the making. Tonight, Danny and I are sitting down here together in the Pertinier headquarters, my basement, where I've been forced to move my entire life, thanks to another child on the way. So
You know, Uncle Mike says, all these podcasts are made by 35-year-old guys in their basement.
and that's accurate, because I'm in the basement. Jesus Christ, look at how that's come full circle. So on the phone, calling in is Jimbo, and Jimmy's calling back home from Livonia. So thanks for jumping on, Jimbo.
Sure thing.
Yeah. So Danny Boy is sitting next to me to my left, and we've been talking for a month or so now that we really needed to do kind of like a reset on the podcast, and I'll kind of go back and just explain what all the stuff is that we're doing, and maybe give a little bit of background on who we are, that will try to make a little bit more sense of what you guys are hearing out there. And in all honesty, hunting season was a blur. We put out so much podcast content, and I don't even know how I did it, to be honest. Between work, it was the craziest time of year for work. It was, we were doing 2 podcasts a week, calling all these people, getting hunting stories, editing, and also taking care of family business. So it was a crazy fall, and so we just wanted to hit the reset button here tonight and kind of go back to square one and explain a little bit about who we are at Pertinier Outdoors. You got anything to say?
Me? Yeah. I'm pretty good. I thought that was pretty
You're
good.
good?
Yeah. We just kept hammering through hunting season, and we made it happen.
Yeah.
We're ready to go.
All right. So the first thing we need to address is explaining what the hell Log Talk is. So people that are close to us may know this, but we kind of came up with the whole idea for Log Talk based around kind of really the first time that Jimmy and Danny met each other. So Danny and I got to know each other through my now wife. Danny went to high school with Sarah and was good friends with her and her brother. So him and I became pretty good friends. Then flash forward a year or so, and Danny came up to camp to our place in Naples for opening day at Trout, and we had a real good time. And
Opening day of beer drinking season.
Opening day of beer drinking season. Yeah. So I'll let you two tell the story about how Log Talk began. I guess I'll leave that to you two, the two love talking lovebirds, or log talking lovebirds.
You want to have at her, Jimbo?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it kind of just came about by not being able to catch any trout. Huge trout fishermen that we are.
Yeah.
And I think we had a lot of beer stuffed in our waders. And I think it was starting to touch down in the evening, and there was a log crossing the river, and me and you got up on the log, and we were sitting there having a beer, and you were like, there's nothing more than I love than just a little log talk.
Yeah.
Kind of where it all started.
Yep. It was like a match made in heaven. I was just thinking, I'm like, I just got to get these two drinking beers together, and I know that they're going to be good friends for a long time. So that was the start of, you and I were already good friends, Danny, and then, that was the start of you and Jimbo getting to be friends. So it was, that has stuck with us forever. And on that trip, that weekend, we got the picture that we used to make our logo, which is us sitting on the log telling a big fish story. And so that's kind of, that all circles around that one weekend trout fishing down in Naples back, God, it's got to be 6-7 years ago now.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, that was a while ago.
me and you kind of started being friends when we got season tickets there, and you started hanging out with Sarah.
Is that 20?
And we've had season tickets for 7 years now, I think.
Yeah, shit.
So
Time flies when you're having fun. It's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So that's Log Talk and what that is all about. So the next thing I think it's important for us to explain ourselves on is what the hell feeding them is and what the hell breeding them is, because I think there's probably a fair number of people out there that are wondering what in the hell are these guys hashtagging and talking about, and is it legal what they're saying and what they're doing.
see, that's the good thing about it is it's whatever you want it to be.
It is whatever you want it to be.
Log Talk's whatever you want it to be. Feeding them's whatever you want it to be.
Right?
We're feeding them right now.
Most
We are
importantly,
feeding them
is
right
pretty
now.
much all of it's pretty legal.
It is pretty illegal. So what?
Nothing
So
we've done is feeding them is illegal.
So where the feeding them came from is, if anybody who is a Trailer Park Boys fan and follows that show and knows who Bubbles is, there was kind of a little, I don't know, was it actually on the show or it was just a YouTube video that they made or something?
It's a Hockey Night in Canada skit.
Yeah.
And I don't know if they actually played it on Hockey Night in Canada or not, but there's like a segment I think that they played on TV, and then there's like a short one and a long one, so you can go and watch either one on YouTube. But
So what I'll do is I'll probably interject right here.
I've been watching hockey since as long as I can remember, since I was, a little wee guy. I've been watching hockey all through the 70s and 80s. I mean, that's all I did. Even before my parents deserted me, we used to watch hockey together. Yeah, apparently my dad was a pretty good hockey player. I never saw him play, but he was they called him the Hammer. That was his nickname. He used to put a lot of people in the seats, apparently, because as soon as they dropped the puck, he'd just grab somebody and start feeding them, And he was drunk on the ice a lot, is the stories I hear. He'd put a 40 down before the game, they'd go out, drop the puck, and he'd just go toe-to-toe with somebody. And apparently he wasn't a very good fighter. He got beat a lot, but the crowd used to love it. So I wish I could have saw some of those games, but I don't think anybody even got them on the video camera. Yes, I did want to play in the NHL my whole life, and I thought if I ever was able to pay the registration to get into real minor hockey, I think I might have got, I believe I might have went to the show. There's been a lot of people say I remind them of a young Wayne Gretzky.
Okay, so you just got done listening to that audio. That's Bubbles on Hockey Night in Canada. So back, my brother-in-law Donnie, for his bachelor party, we all went. There was like 17 or 18 of us-ish from Western New York here. Donnie was the only one out there. Well, there's two guys out there. The rest of us were all from Buffalo.
Yeah.
So all of us loaded on a plane and flew out to Denver and went up and did a 3-day float trip on the Green River, starting in Utah and ending in Colorado. And one of the guys, Craig, who's on the trip, anybody who knows Craig knows he's a freaking character. And the whole time around the trip, he just kept on saying, feeding them, just giving it to them, just hammering them in the corner, feeding them. We're like, what are you talking about? So Craig, we ends up showing us his video, And it's Bubbles telling the story that you just heard the audio of his father, how he would get real drunk before hockey games and he'd go out there and just beat dudes up. So that just, I don't know, that's stuck. Like, we've been saying that. That's almost 5 years now.
Yeah.
We've been saying feeding them just for fun. And it just fit pretty well with us here at Pert Near Outdoors and just the fun-loving guys that we are. You know, feeding them could be drinking beers. Feeding them could be planting food plots. Feeding them could be
Putting an arrow in the Boilermaker.
putting an arrow in the Boilermaker, you know, anything. You can feed them however you want. So that's feeding them. So now breeding them, explanation there.
We were trying to come up with kind of like a, what is it? Like the rut update sort of thing, but we wanted kind of like an original name for it. And I know you and I, Billy, had talked about it quite a few times. Just never came up with anything that really stuck. Bunch of inappropriate shit that we probably could have used. But,
Right.
I was on the way up north with Adam, and we were going turkey hunting, and I was telling him about the conversation you and I had and what we were trying. No, this was at the bear hunt. We were going up for the bear hunt, and I was talking to him, and I was like, we're trying to do this segment, but we don't want it to be like too repetitive off of what other people are doing. And I'm like, we're trying to come up with a name for it, and we started tossing around names like you and I had. All of a sudden, he came out of nowhere with breeding them. And I'm like, that's perfect. That's going to be what it is right there.
Fits right in with our feeding them.
Yep.
So, and hence we've created hashtags that we're using. And as our community grows here with Pert Near Outdoors, you know, we encourage anyone to hashtag breeding them and feeding them, and you can join the party as we do that all year long. So it's kind of become a thing. And next fall, again, for deer season, we'll plan on doing that breeding them segment, which is kind of our week-to-week update of what's going on with the deer and what are they doing. Are they feeding? Are they breeding? Are they what they're eating? Stuff like that. We're going to continue that. I think that was pretty fun. And probably the biggest benefit I thought was just really, it was exciting to connect with different people around the state and hear their stories and how they hunt and some of their traditions. That was really an enjoyable part of doing that. And if you're listening to this podcast and you haven't, you know, maybe you're new to us and you haven't listened, if you go back throughout the fall, you know, we had, I think it was 7 total Breeding Them Radio episodes, and it was pretty cool. I mean, we had just a total variety of guys from different areas and a couple repeats that, you know, didn't have success or missed an opportunity, and then they had the follow-up and were able to connect the dots and get one on the ground. So it's definitely fun.
Yeah, it's been cool because like we connect with these different people out there that we might have never met before, and I was just gonna say, don't be scared to DM us or send us a message on Instagram or Facebook if you want to talk deer or come on the podcast because you're seeing something going on in the field. Like, we're open to talk to anybody that wants to talk deer hunting.
Yeah, and that starts leading into the next point of, you know, what's the purpose of Pert Near Outdoors. And we started this back in October or in September of 18, just for the purpose we wanted to share our adventures. We've always been looking for. We love posting that stuff on our personal pages, but it just was like, you know, it was almost overwhelming, and you don't know if people just don't care to see what you're posting. So we wanted to have that kind of community place to show what we're doing, encourage people to go out there and get after it and try doing some of the same stuff we are, or tell us what they're up to so we can learn from them, kind of just create that community. And, you know, honestly, a lot of that was driven from what we're seeing from guys like the hunting public that were, you know, they freaking skyrocketed. I mean, they were doing quite a bit, but all of a sudden it just was an explosion of what they were doing. So, yeah, I mean, having the Pert Near Outdoors group growing the way it is, you know, we definitely want to continue to grow with that and give people the platform around New York State, regardless of how you hunt, whatever weapons you use, whether you hunt birds, you know, with turkeys, grouse, pheasant. You know, fishing is something we haven't really gotten into, but I'd like to do a little bit more with fishing to know what opportunities are out there and encourage people to try stuff out, because I know that we have one of the best fisheries especially here in Western New York, we have Lake Ontario and Lake Erie within a half hour, 45 minutes of us, and a couple of the best fisheries in the world. And a lot of people don't realize the opportunity that's right in our backyard.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's all coming from my mouth. I mean, you guys, anything else you have to add for what the purpose is of what we're trying to do here?
Well, I think back to Freedom Radio a little bit. We were kind of looking to do like a rut update. We kind of thought it was going to be more of like a weekly update of what we're seeing, what we're doing. But it almost turned into more of like we found guys that had success and just had them share their story. So it's kind of more of like a storytelling thing, weekly of guys that had success. And I think that was fun to bring everything together and kind of tell more stories rather than have it be strictly like a run up on what we're seeing and what we think the movement's going to be moving forward. Because a lot of people that spend time in the woods know what time they want to be there. So I think it was good that it was a little bit different and that it was more storytelling and, just getting to have all those different stories from all those different peoples from all over the place. I think that was kind of cool because it's not exactly what we planned, but it came off different, and I think it went over pretty well.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, Jimbo. I think to build on that, like, I'm at a point in my hunting career where I'm trying to just, like you mentioned, hunting public, like watching hunting public. What can I learn from those guys? Like, I feel like there's so much knowledge out there where I just want to like learn more and find different ways to hunt, and how can I improve my skills? How can we go out on Lake Erie fishing and not come back with no fish?
Right.
Like, how can we how can we be better at what we're doing and enjoying, and like how can we tell that knowledge to other people?
Yeah.
Like, how can we spread that to the outdoors or people that want to get into the outdoors? That's kind of how I see it. Is like I want to gain as much knowledge as I can, and then I want to tell it to other people and help them enjoy the outdoors.
100%. You couldn't. I think I was trying to say that. You just said it perfectly. Is, there's a lot of, we all grew up around it. The three of us, it's been a way of life. I mean, our fathers, our grandfathers were all involved in the outdoors one way or another. So we were surrounded by it. But, it's come up several times in the last 4 or 5 podcasts. There's been a couple different statements about it that, like, we're the influencers now. An influencer, I think, is a term that's overused a little bit in the outdoor industry right now, or at least in this little world that we are paying attention to. But at the end of the day, what an influencer is right now is it's our generation that we're laying the groundwork, and our fathers and our grandfathers are turning to us and saying, it's up to you guys to keep the outdoor lifestyle, to keep it going. I'm trying to think of a good word for that, but just to keep the interest there from the next generation coming up, or even the generation of people that we are in, that they didn't have that growing up, but they're seeing different things in the, social media, or they're watching Meat Eater, and it's just like, where do I start? And we've all kind of had a little bit of that in the last few years where you just got that interest to try to help people get started. And at the end of the day, that's what we're trying to do here, as Danny said. And I'd like to try to do some more type of stuff together. And as this grows and we have more folks that we're interacting with, I'd like to try to do more. I see like what the hunting public did last off season with saying, hey, if you want to come walk this block of state property with us and look at sign, I'd love to do that. And that's something I think about all the time, that I would love to say, hey, let's all meet up over at XYZ state land. It might not even be an area that I ever plan to hunt, but just meet up with people and just walk the woods together. We could look for sheds, and we could, show what this sign is. And there might be somebody in that group that's a better hunter than the three of us. It might say, well, this is what I'm seeing here, and we could learn something. We're not, by no means are we saying we know what the hell we're talking about. We just want to encourage people to jump on board and go out and enjoy.
Those videos are so valuable. I was watching some just the other night, and the same ones you're talking about, it's just like, oh my God, these guys, I don't think people watching them, if you're new to hunting, would understand like how valuable the information they're giving them is. It's just the knowledge of go mess up.
Right.
Like, go bump deer out of an area and know that they're probably just coming right back.
Yeah.
And like
That's not what we were taught.
Yeah, exactly.
We were taught, oh my God, if you blow that deer out, he's never coming. He's going to pick up his bags and move to the next county, right? And it's just time and time
you
again.
should ask Adam how that worked out this year.
Right? Yeah. Never saw that deer again. Here you go. Love you, Adam.
Here you go.
Sorry, not sorry. Should have pulled the trigger.
Frank Spooker.
Yeah. Oh God.
I'll put money on it. Frank and Beans will be back.
Frank and Beans will be back.
I think
he's going to show up.
He'll be back.
He's going to show up end of October.
15th to 18th next year. He'll show back up.
It's that feedback we're getting. All right, we're better.
That's good.
Yes, I mean, I think that sums up. We don't need to talk much more about what the purpose is, what we're doing, but that's what we are looking for folks to do with us. We want to engage. So, you know, if you're listening to this and you're like, these guys are fucking peckerheads and we don't really care what they're doing or whatever, that's fine. But we want to engage with people, and I think I don't have it written down here as something to talk about, but we've all three of us have gotten engaged with backcountry hunters and anglers, and there's a lot of other conservation groups out there, like, and you know, Jimmy and I are pretty involved in NWTF, to the fact we go to a banquet and spend hundreds of dollars and drink lots of beer.
Drink their beer.
Yeah.
I'm involved there.
Right. So, sorry, Jimbo, I turned you down and now I couldn't hear you. But yeah, so getting involved in these organizations is really, it's helping, and it's creating a gathering place, I guess I would say, for people in the area that are interested in some of the same things that we are, or people that we can reach out to and help. So I'm just going to continue to give the plug for backcountry hunters and anglers. I think it's a group that speaks to our generation and speaks to the challenges of our generation that we're going to be facing moving forward with, you know, with access to property, finding access to, you know, I've been on some conference calls for the event coordinators, and one of the things that BHA is going to start helping out with is trying to help generate more hunter safety course trainers, because one of the challenges that New York State's seeing, and I'm sure it's a national challenge, is that so many of these trainers are grandfather's age, and they are not relating to the younger generation. You know what I mean? It's just, I mean, they're not going to. They don't even know what Onyx Maps is. You know, they don't know who Steve Ranella is. It's like people coming into these classes, they want to relate to the people that are teaching. You know?
Yeah, if you think about it, and I don't have anything against gun ranges. Like, I've gone to gun ranges and shot trap my whole life. Like, I love those places. But if I think to every time in the last 20 years I've been to a gun range, it's a lot of older guys.
Right.
And that's kind of I would say that's the generation that is using those gun ranges. And I would say maybe our generation doesn't use them as much as maybe past generations.
Right.
But that's kind of the outdoors shrinking a little bit, the outdoor community, and there's just not enough people to go to these gun ranges and keep them alive.
No, that's an interesting point. It'd be fun to get someone on from a gun club, and you know, like Jimbo, you're a member at Rochester Brook still, right?
No, I didn't renew that.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe we should discuss that.
Using it enough.
Just playing right into our point here, Jimbo.
Yeah, I mean because that's where a lot of people gather to do that. You know, to just have a group. I mean, I grew, like you said. I mean, Jimmy and I were trappers at Rochester Brook Gun Club growing up, and I mean it was a good old boys club. I mean, those guys that were there, they were there 3 days a week shooting guns. You know, just hanging out, socializing. You know, our generation, I guess we do socialize differently. We're not the same as our fathers or our grandfathers' generation. It's a different way that we interact with each other, right? I mean,
yeah, I think
we get together and we just waste a whole pile of ammo at once, and then we just call it a day for a couple months.
Take a plastic thrower and just everybody shoots 4 times at it. And
yeah, like Elma Conservation Club is one that's close to us around here that I know some members at, and I mean it's I know some people at Buffalo Rod and Gun downtown too, and you have just a lot of commitments to be a member there, and it's money, and if you're not actually using it on a regular basis, which I think is kind of the problem nowadays, no one can concentrate on one thing that well.
Right.
I mean, that's being pretty judgmental of the population out there. But if people are kind of all over the
We're
place.
all over the place. I'm all over the place.
I know I am.
I'm diagnosed. I got ADD, man.
Yeah.
Got issues. But that's a whole nother conversation.
Whatever that.
Leave that right there.
I think to the point, Backcountry Hunters Anglers is a great group to maybe start taking that over if it's going to be as big of a growing community as it is, and people want to put their time out there. That's a great place to put your time out, is teaching young kids and how to be safe out in the woods and how to just carry a gun and shoot a gun and all that stuff. Like, I know my hunter safety courses were pretty good.
Yeah.
And you got to have them. So
yeah, it's an important piece. I mean, a lot of people, if they don't have a good experience with their hunter safety course, they may never come back. I mean, you can get your certificate, but that's step one in a long journey of figuring out how to kill animals.
Yeah, we went out and shot trap during my gun course, which was really cool. And like, I couldn't imagine if you did it at a piece of public land somewhere, if you went and did them at Letchworth or somewhere in Western New York, and you actually sat under a pavilion for the day with a bunch of kids, and then went out and said, like, this is deer sign. This is what deer shit looks like.
Right.
Here's a couple turkey prints in the water over here. Like, yeah. I mean, I think a 12-year-old would be like, oh, this is
they get fired
cool.
up about it. When you sit there in a room for eight hours and stare at a PowerPoint presentation, and that's an interesting conversation. But yeah, so we went down a wormhole there, but I mean, I think just encouraging people to get engaged with your whatever conservation organization you find speaks best to you. Get involved, and get involved might just be a $25 membership a year. Like I belong to NWTF, to BHA, Backcountry Hunters and Anglers, and the Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation. Those are the three that I belong to, and they're all things that I'm interested in. I don't belong to QDMA. I like what they're about, but you only have so much resources to put towards that stuff. So, what do you belong to, Danny? You're a BHA member.
I don't know. I couldn't even tell you. Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation 2, BHA. I had Land Conservancy in my head.
Nature Conservancy.
Yeah, Nature Conservancy, and I'm not a member, but Western New York Land Conservancy. Like, if you want to, even Hunters Creek State Park, they have cleanups there all the time. If you like to mountain bike, if you like to hike, like Hunters Creek Park you can go. Just they have groups that go clean up trails. Yeah. I know the Western New York Land Conservancy. Like, you could email them and they would probably welcome you in no time and just say, hey, come out to a hike one day. We're doing a nature hike, and like, they have some cool property over there next to Hunters Creek. Do something like that. Right. You don't have to. Yeah, you don't have to start out shooting guns at deer.
No, right.
It doesn't have to be that way.
Yeah, you may never want to do that. Just get outside and enjoy the outdoors, and you don't even have to have a license to do anything. If you like to go walk, go walk. Get outside, put the phone down for a little while and go outside. Jimbo, do you have anything to say, Jim? We've kind of just been leaving you on your own.
Well, Danny, what clubs he was in, but you didn't ask me any of mine.
Well, what clubs are you in, Jim?
Only know he's not a member of the
NWTF,
Gun Club,
the Backcountry Hunters and Anglers, and the JHC. I don't know if you guys have heard of that one or not.
No.
It's Jimmy's Hunt Club.
Oh, Jimmy's Hunt Club. Are you the sole sponsor of that hunt club?
Sole sponsor and donator.
Oh, okay.
Does that benefit?
A good one, though.
Does that benefit Tots No Triggers?
Yeah, I got that in there. Hasn't really taken off yet, but
it's a growing.
Real nice first light camera for next season.
Right.
Hey, you got to get on that first light trade site.
Yeah,
it's good stuff.
I really do like that NWTF. Those guys do a lot of work in our area, and they put on a hell of an event every spring. It's really I really enjoyed going to that and doing that thing. And the pint night that we went to last year for BHA, that was fun. I think all these things are definitely there's a lot of people putting in a lot of time, trying to make this better going forward, and I know that's kind of what we're trying to do here to help out spreading the word and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
Those BHA pint nights are awesome. Like going and meeting new people that just want to talk like
Just talk about
anything
hunting.
outdoors.
Yeah.
It's really cool. You can just pick up conversation with someone you've never met before, and I mean, talk to people for hours basically.
Yeah.
Like, it's really cool.
Like the one in Batavia last year sucked that it was only a couple hours long.
Yeah,
and I
it's
could
pretty
have,
short.
but I mean that night was a bad lake effect snow night. It was kind of shitty.
yeah,
Those guys drove like 4
No,
hours.
Yeah, they drove all the way down from Pulaski. Well, Glenn and Garrett. But so that's the cool thing about what BHA is doing. We keep hanging on BHA, but what I keep saying what the approach is here this year is that we're actually, each DEC region has a events coordinator. So it doesn't matter where you live in New York, there's going to be events for something all over the state, which is pretty cool. So, if you live in the Rochester area, there's going to be multiple events, probably some kind of a pint night. There's going to be maybe some cleanups or some kind of conservation project going on. Same thing out here in Western New York and all the way across the state. And we'll continue to update the listeners on what those events are and when they're going on. Probably, when we're within a month of when those events are going to be, we'll kind of start touching on them in the intro of the podcast. But yeah, like Danny said, go out and get involved. These things are fun and pretty painless to go and hang out with people and meet new folks and do some good stuff. So
Yeah, I think you can't say it enough that BHA sponsors public land, and if you ever crosses your mind that you want to go hunting and the first thing that's holding you back is not having a place to go hunt public land. Open up your New York State DEC map, website, whatever, and like search public land or open up Google Earth, and it is super easy to find New York State forest and just go walk around it because it's yours.
Yeah.
And you can do it. And like
there's a lot of it too. So.
There is. And I had that conversation with two of my customers today. I was shooting the bull with them, and first time meeting them, and the one guy was wearing a Bass Pro Shops hoodie with a buck on it, and I'm like, oh yeah, I can talk to this guy. And we got shooting the shit, and we talked about hunting for like an hour and a half, and they're like, yeah, we don't go to public land. It's dangerous. There's a lot of people there. I'm like, dude, it's not that anymore. I'm like, there's,
wait till the first week's over. There's nobody there.
Well, and archery. I mean, you go during archery, and it's
right. That's true.
It's not the pressure. So it is. I've started using this statement. People know what they want to know, and if they've heard from one person, or if they experience one bad experience, then that ruins the entire thing for everyone. And that goes for anybody who's listening to this too. That you got to respect that. I mean, that land is everybody's land, and regardless of where they're from, where you're from, any public land that's in this country, it's just as much yours as it is the person standing next to you, and that's a beautiful right that we have. But don't abuse that, and be safe, be respectful, because you're sharing that with a lot of other people, and you could ruin. I mean, it could be somebody's first time ever out hunting, and that's the only place that they have to go, and you're being some jackwagon, and you do something stupid. And that person might be turned off for life. They might say, "This is crazy. I'm never coming back here. I almost, something bad almost happened." It's not worth it.
It works both ways too. If you've been hunting that area for a long time, you got to realize that somebody that doesn't do a lot of hunting is probably going to walk by you, and if they see you when they're 20 feet away from your stand, they're probably going to be caught by surprise and not know what to do.
Right.
And they're probably going to do something you don't want them to do. But you know what? They're walking around the property that you're trying to hunt, and they're probably going to kick some deer up and move deer around, and it works both ways.
It does. It's a different type of hunting. You hunt public land. It's a different hunt than hunting your back 40 that who has access to it and where they're hunting, and who the neighbors are and how they're hunting. Like, it's just totally different. So it's kind of fun. I find it exciting. You get out there, you don't know what the hell's going to happen.
Last year I went up to that nature conservancy with like 5 other guys on it, and there was a truck in the parking lot, and I tried to go away that I figured he wouldn't have, And of course, after spending 2 hours sneaking up the hill with a climber on my back, freaking look up and the guy's sitting there in a tree stand, and he gave me a freaking whistle, and I kind of just waved and turned and snuck back out of there the way I came, and I actually ended up running into him a couple hours later. And he's like, "Oh man," he's like, I'm like, "Sorry for walking into you." He's like, "No," he's like, "Thanks for turning around and sneaking out." He's like, "You know, a lot of people wouldn't have done that." And it's like, well, you know, you got to be respectful. You know, everybody's here. Everybody has permission to be here that is here. So, kind of got to just. It's the same way if you were out in state land. You know, not just nature conservancy. I would have done the same thing. So.
Yeah.
Same exact thing.
Got to be
happened to me
cognizant
last
of each
year.
other.
Yeah, it's just I don't know. Yeah. You could set up 200 yards away from a guy like that, and you talk about it all the time, Billy. You could see 10 deer, and that guy might only see 2 of them, and you could see that guy through the woods, and like you just never know. I think it is right to be courteous to somebody like that, but at the same time, if you're a decent way, safe distance away from the person, just hunt. You're not gonna bother the deer that are gonna go by that person necessarily.
No, just get out there. That's 99% of the battle for sure. Just being out there.
Yeah.
So you guys have anything else to add there? That was kind of a bunch of information about kind of what we're all about here at Pert Near Outdoors. But I think it's a good conversation. Anything else you guys have to add to that?
No, I didn't really expect to go down the whole gun range.
I didn't either.
Story.
That's what I love about this. Yeah.
I'm just talking. So
just
that's what I like about podcasts.
Yeah.
I think it's good what you started doing there in the intro to starting to lay out some of these events that are coming up, because unless people are following closely to Facebook or whatever that these events are getting sent out on, you know, a lot of people wouldn't know about them, and maybe even you doing it on here would be touching a different crowd. So I think it's good that you started sharing events and when things are coming up and what's going on around the area, because they'll probably get more people involved and going to different things.
Yeah, I know we talked about there's a couple archery shoots coming up that we're planning on going to, and I think we want to try and just get them out there and get them advertised to people we know, and try and get groups to go to these things and just get together, talk about hunting, shoot our bows. One's in March and one's in April, I think, the 2 that I'm talking about. So just something to keep in mind, just events to get together that we want to share with everybody, and like get people out there and having fun.
Yeah. And that, like, I think, Jesus, I mean, go down that wormhole. I mean, these archery events are they're cool as hell too. The first one I'd ever been to, second one, last year we went to one that we'll probably go to again this year. I think they call it the Alaskan Shoot. It's just kind of a fun open shoot over at Hawkeye Bowman here. Is that Alden or Colesville? Is that Colesville?
Alden, yeah.
Yeah. So we went to that. Jimmy, Danny, and I, and Scott Murray, who's one of the guys from Hunters Creek Outdoors. We went over to that, and I broke a couple arrows, missed a few targets, and we had a really good time.
How big were the targets in this, by chance there?
I think the one was actually like a full-size moose at 40 yards.
How much were those arrows?
I started using my cheap arrows after I broke on the first target. I fucking hit that rock, and I'm like, these things are just indestructible, man. You can't break these arrows in first shot. I freaking missed the target and bend the arrow over in like a 45-degree angle. Oh God. Yeah, it was.
I just had to point out the moose target you missed, because that's literally.
I actually forgot about that. But,
barn.
Yeah, my thought went to the first target there. I think it was like a wolf from up top.
Yeah, that was a steep angle.
That was a cool shot. But
That was a tough one. I blew that shot.
Yeah. See, I'm not alone, but I think I was the only one that broke an arrow. But so that was a cool event to go to. But then last year we went to TAC, the Total Archery Challenge, down in Pittsburgh, or in Pennsylvania, outside of Pittsburgh. And unfortunately, we're not going to be able to make it this year. Everybody's got a lot going on. And I've got baby number 2 arriving in early May, so that event's the last weekend, so it ain't gonna happen this year. But hopefully in the future we'll make it back down to that, or they also started doing the one up in Vermont, and it's about the same distance. Too. So it would be either way, be fun to get up there and participate in those. But those events we had a freaking riot last year at that, and that was kind of a big kickstarter for us as far as like just getting going and doing a podcast, maybe a little bit more seriously than what we thought as far as actually getting going with it. Because, people were just super positive and encouraging. We brought a pocket full of stickers and we were handing them out to everybody that we met. And, we met a few guys that are just like Jim from down there, York Way, Philadelphia area. He's been following right along with us ever since, and we met him the first hour we were there. Jim's the one that him and his buddy stopped by, and we were drinking Busch out on the patio.
Yeah.
And we're like, we just started talking with him and gave him a Busch, and then we ended up hanging out the entire rest of the night. And we just had a freaking riot, But these guys were all so positive, and they're like, man, you guys just freaking give it a shot, make a podcast, do this stuff. And we actually did it, and we're kind of giving it a run and having a damn good time with it.
Yeah, the Hunt 724 guys, I think, that we shot with those guys. That was cool. Got to know Sam Solholt a little bit. That was really cool.
Yeah.
Just really fun events to be at.
So we hung out with Bo Martonic. He's becoming Mr. Big Time. I'm pretty fired up. We're going to have him on the podcast here in a couple weeks. I want to get him on to talk about like gear. Like Bo's a pretty big gear guy, and have him on to kind of talk about layering and clothing systems. And obviously he's big doing some work with Sitka, and I'm a Sitka guy, but we're not all about it's got to be one brand or another, or even got to be one of those top line brands. I think there's so much to learn when it comes to layering. You and I, Danny, we really got going on that train when we headed out west for the first time. When you're hunting here in the east and sitting in a tree stand all day, you just wear as much heavy clothing as you can, and you don't know the difference. But once you have to be moving and then sitting like you do out west, that changed the ball game for me. So I'm pretty excited to get Bo on to kind of have that conversation with him and get his input on it, because I've been following along with him, and he's a lot like us, where he started maybe 3-4 years ago going out west, grew up in a very similar area we did, but down in Pennsylvania. So kind of following along with him, and so it'll be interesting to get his input on that, kind of share what he's up to. But
I'm always rethinking my layering system, and I think it's important to think about, and I think it's just funny that you're saying that. Like, there are so many different ways you can do that.
Yeah.
And the one thing I want to hear from him is, I feel like we have Pert Near Outdoors in a spot where we're kind of just moving along, and we're not sure what to do next, or what we want to do next specifically. Right. And I would really like to hear from him what got him over the hump, or what he did, what's he doing now that's different from what he did from day one, after year one or year two. How did it go for him? 'Cause I don't know when he started necessarily, but I know we've known him for 2 years now, or been following him for 2 years. So
yeah, I mean, I've been following Bo since the first year, so since 2017 when we went out to Colorado for the first time. Because I don't remember how I found him or he found us. I don't have any idea, but we started following each other around the time we went to Colorado for the first time. And yeah, I think what you just said is freaking spot on, because all three of us have been having that conversation, what direction do we go from here? And it's we don't necessarily foresee this replacing our income by any stretch of our imagination, but it's at what point do you get over a hump, or do you keep going, or do you stop, or where that is. So it takes a lot of time to do this. It's a lot of investment, and time is the biggest resource for all three of us. And you got to kind of figure out what you're doing there. It can get discouraging after a while when you're like, why aren't we reaching more people, or why isn't there more engagement? Do people not care what we're saying? You know what I mean? Those are the thoughts that go through your head. I'm putting all this time and effort into it. What exactly? But then little things happen. I posted the podcast today with Jesse, and Jesse's pretty well known in the whitetail hunting community, and all of a sudden there's a boom. There's a whole bunch of new people that are seeing our stuff and are downloading the podcast. So it's you kind of pick up a little bit of momentum, and it's like a shot of energy into your arm that, just keep going, keep getting these interesting guests on and building it out,
I'm glad that's what you're thinking about, because for the last like 2 months, all I've been thinking about is how I can spend more time in the woods. I'm gonna start going to work earlier and leaving earlier,
You do
or
that.
Mondays off, or I don't know. I'm gonna finagle something.
You figure that out, because
sure that's-
I got another mouth coming here in 4 months, 3 months, and Daddy's ass is gonna be stuck here a lot. So, yeah, you be the outdoors guy. How about that, Danny boy?
Do my best. Can I rent your boat for $0?
No, I thought you were going. It's gonna be at least $200 a day. I got to get that boat paid off before I fuck it up again. That's a whole other conversation. The boat transom may or may not be full of a block of ice right now. Yeah, I didn't
You
post
did
that.
not.
Oh, I didn't tell you, Jim.
No.
Yeah. So I left the boat sitting out. You know, I have a video, and now that this has come up, I'll post it because it's kind of comical. It's a pert near don't be a shithead moment that I created when I realized what was going on. But it was New Year's Day. It was colder than a bastard, and we were mother and father-in-law were closing the sale of the farm. So I was over at the barn picking up a bunch of stuff and helping them clean up. And something just occurred to me. I'm like, I need to go over and just check on my boat. I haven't looked at it since literally I dropped it off at the farm. And at the time, there was no stalls open in the barn to back it into, so I just left it outside with the cover on. And so I pull in my truck and I pull around the barn and I see it. And I'm like, I'm like, the boat looks like it's sitting a little bit low right now on the you know, it just looks like the trailer's sagging a little bit, you know. So I get up a little bit closer and I look. This freaking thing, the cover tore. There must have been so much water sitting on the cover. Something happened, and the pole that holds the middle of the back half of the boat up, so the tarp is not letting water settle. Well, it's sagging, so the pole tore through, and the whole back of the boat, like that area, the tarp is just holding water. And so long story short, that freaking thing, who knows how long it had been collecting water, and pretty much all the way up to the bottom of the floor, the whole underneath the engine compartment, everything full of water. So what happened was the plugs, when I took it to the dealer and had them winterize it, they left the plugs in, and I didn't even think about it. So I just left the boat sitting out there with the plugs in, so every ounce of water, whether condensation or whatever, stayed in the boat. So yeah, so I flipped the engine compartment, and we had a couple like 45, 50 degree days, and I was hoping it was going to melt out. But after that last warm shot, I had flipped the engine compartment, and there's still a block of ice surrounding my engine. So, and for those of you that don't know my history with my boat, I have a beautiful boat that I spent a lot of money on and will be paying on for many years. And I've already replaced the engine once because I didn't get it winterized in time and cracked the block. So, hold on. What's that, Jim?
I thought that's what you meant you did again.
Whoa, that was louder than shit.
Yeah.
No, it may or may not be damaged. We don't know that yet. We're gonna find out come springtime when I put her in the water.
She may not float. Might have a boat that don't float.
Remind me come like April 21st about this story.
Okay.
So you're not taking the boat out for the first time, and Danny, you want to go fishing?
Yeah,
May 1st is coming up, bass season.
It's trophy bass season right now.
Come on, we gotta go. I hear they're biting.
Yeah. Oh shit. Yeah. So that was another wormhole. But yeah, so I'm a shithead. I don't know where.
I'm really glad I brought that up though. That's a good
I don't
story.
even know. It's
a good thing only 45 people are going to listen to this.
Yeah, I know.
Only that many people are going to know your
people think I'm a shithead.
Dumbass choice.
There's actually more people out there that think I'm a shithead than 45, but only 45 people listen to this. So that's that. So, Jimbo, how are you doing on time? Because I know you said you got Uncle Tim coming over.
I think he's pulling in. Yeah, he's pulling in now. So I'm just going to put you on mute. If you guys are still talking when I come back,
Okay.
I'll hop back in.
Sounds good.
If not, it's good talking. Thanks for having me on. And
Oh, Jimbo.
hope your boat floats.
Yeah.
Good to hear your voice, Jim.
It's just a pleasure.
All right.
All right.
I'll check back here in a little bit.
Oh God, Jim. Thanks. See ya. Danny boy. So the next thing I wanted to kind of dive into quick with us was, what the three of us do outside of this, because I think kind of helps people understand who we are and where we're at as far as what we do for profession and what we do. So I'm just going to start with you. What are you outside of Pertinier Outdoors? Who is Danny Zahler?
I'm an accountant. That's my day-to-day, pays the bills. Went to school for finance and in the process of getting my CPA, so that's kind of
pretty close,
me.
Right?
Yeah, I got some bad news the other day, but
okay, I didn't mean to kick a dead horse.
Yeah, it's all right.
Okay, he's wounded. He's not.
Yeah,
dead.
wounded. Yeah, paid for some classes that they're not accepting right now.
Come on.
So yeah, it's real good.
Wow.
Real good news. So
that's messed up.
Not working on that. Hopefully it'll get cleared up. But yeah, that's me. It's my 9 to 5 and work locally here in East Aurora for a company. So that's what I do.
Yep. That's what you do. Yeah. Jimbo's not on, but I'll speak for Jimbo. So Jimmy and I work together. We have worked together pretty much wherever we've gone. We've stayed together, which is pretty cool. So Jimmy is a diesel mechanic for the same school bus dealership that I work for. We both work for Leonard Bus Sales, and Jimbo fixes the buses and I sell the buses. So I just recently started a new role with the company, and so I'm actually out selling vehicles, selling school buses, that is, to school districts and contractors around the Finger Lakes region. So pretty cool gig, and gets me out to interact with a lot of different people, and I, as I'm sure anybody who's listening to this can realize, I love to talk and I like to interact with people. So it's a perfect gig for me to get out there and see the landscape, and hence why I have, essentially 4 to 5 hours a day to listen to podcasts. So if anybody wants to know what to listen to or what's going on with somebody, shoot me a message, because I spend a ton of time behind the wheel and listen to a lot of stuff. But Jimbo is a pretty cool guy as far as what his experience is. He's a fully certified diesel mechanic, and pretty fortunate to work with him, and he does a great job to support our customers. So it's pretty cool. It's kind of the family business. My dad's into school buses too. Dad's a transportation supervisor at Honey Falls Lima Central Schools, as well as my mom works there in the bus garage too. So it's kind of a family business. Been around school buses our whole lives, and it has nothing to do with hunting, but it's a fun profession because it's a pretty blue collar profession. And from my end of things, getting out there and interacting with customers, most guys that turn wrenches or work in this industry, it seems like a lot of them are into the outdoors one way or another. And it might not be hunting, but it might be fishing or trail running, hiking, camping. There's just a lot of people in this, I guess probably a lot of people in the Western New York area that we interact with on a daily basis. There's just a lot of people that they may not be interested in hunting or fishing, but they are just outdoors snowmobiling, or and that's something that you and Jimbo, we've had a pretty crappy winter here. You probably didn't have a chance to get your sled, even think about getting your sled going, but
yeah, hopefully we go to Allegheny in a couple weeks, so hopefully we'll have snow for that. This weekend looks awful.
Yeah, it's like, well, they don't know if it's gonna be rain or if it's gonna be snow.
Yeah, this weekend looks warm, so I don't know.
Yeah,
we're gonna start renovating another bathroom.
There you go. Yeah, if you got a crap winter, just start fixing the house,
tearing shit apart.
Yeah. All right. Now, the last thing that we needed to do on today's podcast is go through the Q&A stuff that we had posted. It was that like 2 weeks ago. We posted on Instagram, one of those question things, because everybody's doing it. So I figured we would go through some of these questions and answer them. And
I never looked. I don't think I ever saw any of them really. I looked at the stories quick, but I don't remember any of them. So
yeah, it's pretty. There's some funny questions in here. So the first question we're gonna hit is Alan Van Gunden. So Alan wanted to know any stick bow kills coming in 2020. Do you foresee yourself picking up a stick bow?
No, I'll default to our friend Uncle Steve Ranella on this one.
Yeah.
And I am interested in the most efficient way I can to kill an animal.
Yeah.
So If I can use a crossbow, I'll use a crossbow. It doesn't bother me that I'm using a crossbow during a time when other people are using a bow. It's gonna kill an animal better than it will my regular bow, and better than it will a stick bow. So
it may not kill them better, but you have a lot of confidence.
Yeah.
With that crossbow.
Yeah. We'll go with that.
Yeah. So that's a whole nother conversation. I don't think anybody in our immediate family is too concerned about crossbows. I don't have any. There's not an ounce in my body that. What I don't like about crossbows is people that go out there and just start launching 50-yard shots because they can shoot at a bag at 50 yards. I'm not crazy about that, but I think that I don't care what weapon it is, as long as it's legal and it's getting you out there, by all means, freaking have at it. You know, that's where I stand on a crossbow. But, you know, being to the question, my answer pretty much right in line with yours. I have far from mastered shooting a compound bow, let alone, you know, picking up a stick. So anybody who's out there using a stick, good for you. Like, that's incredible. And I see, you know, there's a few people that we follow here around Western New York that are, you know, our age and are getting after it with trad bows. Like, that's freaking impressive. And if you're putting deer on the ground with that, like, freaking more power to you. That's incredible.
If that's what you want to do, and that's like, I have nothing against it.
Yeah.
I can barely shoot my own bow enough. Like, I want to master my own bow.
Yeah.
And being able to shoot my bow at longer distances than I can already.
Yeah.
And I just have no interest in trying to master a stick bow at this point in my life anyways.
Yeah. And like I said in the podcast I did with Jesse last week, I'd like to master shooting under 10 yards at a deer with my bow. I mean, I've mastered it on a doe. I've done well on does inside of 10 yards the last 6 years hunting out here with these guys. You know, most of my archery stuff, my archery kills have come out here, but also my archery misses have come out here. And my God, have these bucks been close, and I've swung and missed. And that's just experience and confidence is all that is. I mean, being prepared and being able to make the shot. So, yes, to answer your question, Alan, I don't foresee any of the three of us getting into traditional archery at this point, but maybe in the future. I'm not going to rule anything out. So next question is from a guy that I assume you might know, and it's C. Cullen 518.
Yeah.
Is that one of your buddies from college?
Not a college buddy. I'm not going to get into that, but I know.
Okay. All right.
Caleb.
He wants to know, Dan kind of looks like a Sasquatch. Is there, you have any Sasquatch in your blood or any background there?
No.
You kind of smell like a rank Sasquatch sometimes.
Is he looking at my
the picture with you?
The picture of the raincoat?
Yeah.
I'll tell you what. So I bought that thing for like $10 on Amazon. It's a big camo poncho, and I bought that for our first trip to Colorado, and still have it. So that was 2017. I bought it for. We used it on that trip a bunch of times. Still have it, and it came in pretty clutch that day.
Yeah. That was a big eye-opener for me, seeing how effective that thing was and how, I wouldn't say ineffective my rain gear was, but when you're wearing a backpack all day and you have stuff pressing up against your skin with even a Gore-Tex jacket on, that water is going to come, it's going to make its way through some way, somehow.
So your Gore-Tex leaked a little bit that day, your jacket?
And it's hard to say whether it leaked or if it was just the fact that I was sweating, and those, you know, Gore-Tex doesn't breathe real well.
Yep. So
it could have just been condensation inside the jacket. I don't know. But it just seems like no matter how good your rain jacket is, unless it's like a freaking piece of like legit plastic, there's a chance that if you're moving, you're going to get some kind of moisture inside of that. So, all right, next question. There was a fella that was trying to get us to buy something from him. I didn't know
what was it?
I'm not even going to.
You want to trade?
Oh, so the guys from, I forget this guy's name. If I found his other account, his personal account, but it's TMWNY Outdoors. So I met up with him at, it was just him, not him and his brother. So the TNM and his brother, him and his brother, he was at the BHA wild game cooking event back during the summer at Rusty Nickel. So met him and he was a pretty cool dude. So we kind of hit it off when we were chatting. But he wants to know, are you guys going on a public land elk hunt in 2020?
you want to answer that, Billy?
Negative.
Yeah. I am not currently planning on going on a public land elk hunt in 2020. Plans for 2020 are up in the air. I've got some ideas brewing, but we'll see what comes to fruition.
Yeah.
I would need some major, I'm not. I don't think any of us are planning on going out west.
No big Western trip this year.
Unless we draw a PA elk tag by 1 in 20,000 chance.
We're certainly going south. We're going to PA. We do every year. So we'll be down in PA. We already booked the house, new house, which I'm pretty fired up about. A little bit bigger, pretty close to where we were the last time.
Closer to where we're hunting to.
About a mile closer, but whatever. It's a better house for us. So we're definitely going to PA for rifle season. That's a staple.
Your family's bear
We
hunt.
might be doing the bear hunt this year. Probably we'll be doing the bear hunt up in the Adirondacks. Be good to get back up there for that. That's kind of become like an every other year. If we go out west in September, we don't do the bear hunt. If we don't go out west, we've been doing the bear hunt. So we've got that going for probably likely in September. Early bear up there in the Adirondacks in the northern zone. And then, you've been tossing around thinking about Ohio, trying to get out there. And I think a lot of it depends on, what the season brings and how it goes, but probably not venturing too far from home next season.
Yeah, I want to try. I'm really pushing to try and, I don't know if I'll get up the gumption to do it myself, but go for like a 3-day Ohio hunt just by myself. Just spend 2 nights out there, public land hunting. Just go explore some new land and obviously here Ohio's a great whitetail state, and I feel like I'm kind of starting to take off with just knowledge and becoming a better hunter. And like if I don't have any kids yet, so like if I can make it work for 3 days or something away from home, then I'm gonna try and make it work. But really, like I said earlier, trying to be able to hunt more around here, get better, get cameras up, find good bucks, and just try to hunt them with the knowledge that I'm learning. That's my big thing.
Faux show. And we'll talk more about that sort of stuff as we get throughout the off season here and into next, as far as plans we've got coming up. So the next one that I'd like to address personally is from Kirsch7381, which is the one and only Brian Kirsch, aka Trigger. And he says, how big is your nose? That's the question he had. And Brian, my answer for you is my nose is big enough to whoop your ass, is how big it is. Okay? It's a freaking, that's a low blow, man. He knows that I look
He's gone
awkward.
lower than that, though.
He has gone a lot lower than
Probably.
that. But I mean, come on, in a public forum, you're gonna call my looks
Could have
out.
skipped that one.
But I think it's important to address it. He put it out there. If I step around it, you're not addressing. The people want to know.
That's true.
It's a big nose.
Yeah.
It may be my biggest strength. It might be my biggest weakness. I don't know. It could be somewhere in the middle. Okay, next one. What is the next one was from Carly Jane 02, which is the one and only Carly Howlett, and she says ASL ? Now apparently I messaged her back and I said American Sign Language. I didn't know what the hell she was talking about. So apparently this was a thing back when we were like in high school, and on AOL Instant Messenger, A was age, S was sex, and L was location. So like that was a code for like where are you, what is your orientation, and are you interested type of thing. Did you ever hear this? Is this
No,
like,
I'd never heard that before in my life.
yeah, I replied back to her and said, look, I don't know what type of stuff went on in Chicago, but this is Podunk, Western New York, and so that's about that there. Carly, you should see a psychologist about that. So Nate Kennedy, Nate's been a regular on here, and he wanted to know what's the game plan for the winter? Are we going to do any rabbits, ice fishing, or catching up on sleep? So far it's been catching up on sleep.
Sleep.
Yeah.
It's been great.
It has been great. Like getting like 7 hours.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
You're probably getting more.
7? No, I'm right around 7.5.
Yeah?
Yeah. My
won't-
alarm goes off at 7, and then I snooze for 7.5 to 8. It's usually
Nice.
a game plan.
Yeah, that's plenty. And as far as I've never rabbit hunted ever. Have you ever rabbit hunted?
No.
I think I see some of these guys out there doing it. It looks like fun. I don't know anybody who rabbit hunts personally, like in my circle. So I think someday I'd like to try it. Looks like fun. Looks like people enjoy it. I've got Jimmy muted, so he even if he was talking, we wouldn't hear him.
I mean, I've always fished a lot before. My dad and my uncle are big into it, but I think they're going weekdays now that they're retired, so
Right.
it's like
Yeah, they don't have to.
Saturdays are
weekends.
Saturdays are the weekends for them because their work is ice fishing during the week.
And we haven't. It's been kind of in the Western New York area, upstate towards the Adirondacks. They've been a little bit colder, so they've had some hard water, from what I'm seeing. But it really has not been a good winter for that at all. For fishing. I mean, we haven't had any good hard water out here in Western New York that I've seen. Maybe some of the little lakes or ponds or whatever, but
I've seen a couple people. Todd Waldron was ice fishing. I
but
think,
he's
this
out.
past weekend.
He's out up
northern Adirondacks.
Yeah.
My buddy Mike Mitch there. We follow it. He was up in the Adirondacks too, but I don't think it has not been a good winter at all here from end of December through right now, which is January 20 whatever.
Yeah, 22nd.
First, second.
Thanks for the question, Nate. Appreciate your participation.
So, if anybody is looking for some ice fishing partners, we are game. I do not have any gear outside of my long fishing poles.
I got 2 jigging
for
rods
out
and a
in the boat.
5-gallon bucket.
We used to have all that stuff, but I think my dad sold a lot of it. We used to have a hut and tip ups and everything. But
You can do it with a full length fishing rod. You just got to sit a long ways away from the hole.
I mean, it sounds great. Sitting on a bucket, drinking beers.
Did you ever go to Howlett's with us when we used to do that during the winter?
No, I don't think
we did
so.
that a couple. We got to start that back up. That was fun. When we went to their cottage and just ice fished for a day and hung out at night, had a grand old time. But now everybody has kids. And
Yeah, this time of winter's been snowmobiling for me and like house renovations the last few years, so that's kind of been my thing. And then come spring, we get into either fishing on the lake, do a little pheasant, turkey. That's kind of that's more our wheelhouse.
Yeah. Did your dad do much pheasant hunting this year with Red?
Yeah, he went a decent amount.
Did he do all right? You get some?
Yeah. I mean, he limits a lot.
What is
two
limit?
birds?
2 birds.
Yeah.
At
He'll go
Carlton
to
Hill or Darien?
He'll go to Carlton Hill and Darien,
Yeah.
both, depending on like when they're stocking and different things like that.
Yeah.
We went opening day last year and had kind of a bad experience at Darien, so I love doing it. It was just
There was a lot of people.
Circus at Darien. Like, I mean, things like that are why public land hunting gets a bad rep.
Yeah, because if you go and experience that one time pheasant hunting, you draw your opinion from that, and it may not be that at all for deer. That Darien piece gets hit hard. I drive by that daily for work, and I mean morning and night. There's vehicles out there during hunting season. There's people out there all the time.
I have one of my buddies has a story of just a really bad, like exotic animal type of hunt in a fenced-in area where they literally just like put you in stands where you could see guys around you. You had like you had like a 30, 40 yard like circle around you, and that was like where you were shooting, and you could shoot one animal with a bow, and that was it.
So
and
he's comparing his experience.
I am right
Oh,
now
you're
comparing that experience to going to Darien Lake State Park on opening day of pheasant. It was just nuts.
Yeah, and it's flat.
Yeah,
it's just flat and open there.
I don't want to ever discourage hunting, but if you're looking to pheasant hunt, I just wouldn't go to Darien, or I wouldn't go to the state parks on opening day.
No, opening day is a bad idea.
That morning, I'll lay it out. We walked back a good ways, me, my dad, and the dog, and you kind of got back there, and as you're walking back, people are kind of like staking their claim along along the road, and they release birds the night before or 2 nights before or whatever. And I mean, there's a ton of birds. Like we put a good amount of birds up. I think we just got one that day, but I got shots at 2 or 3. Just red got a little bit too far in front of me, or just go later in the day.
Yeah.
Go at noon on opening day instead of first light.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't want to make it sound that bad, but
it's something to be aware of.
That was a
be cognizant
struggle
of what other people are going to be doing for sure.
Yeah.
So the last question we had was actually from ZBass10, which so happens to be you. It was an interesting question. It was, does a bear shit in the woods?
It's probably a good question.
Yeah, it was. Great question, because everybody wants to know that. Does a bear shit in the woods?
Yes. Yes, bear. Yeah.
Have you seen bear shit in the woods? We have. You and I have.
But have you actually seen?
No, I've never seen a bear shit in the woods.
So
Now let me ask you this: on my podcast with Jesse last week, he said that he hears deer fart all the time. You ever heard a deer fart?
See, I think I heard somebody say that pretty recently. Maybe it was Jesse. I haven't listened to that one yet, but I don't think I had.
I don't either.
Oh no, it was. I think it might have been Hunting Public talking about a deer coughing.
Yeah, I've heard a deer cough, but I've never heard a fart. There's Jimbo.
Great. Jimbo, you ever hear a deer fart?
No, I was laughing my ass off when I heard that on the podcast.
Yeah. And I mean,
I cannot say that I've heard a deer fart.
Yeah, maybe it's something that they're eating in that area. There's just a lot of flatulence, or what? I don't know. A lot of gas built up.
Come around my tree stand, you'll hear me fart.
Yeah, and maybe he's hunting too close to you, and that's what he's hearing.
Yeah. Is that the last question?
That was the last question, Jimbo. We did talk when you were gone. We talked about what we do for a living, and I kind of pumped you up a little bit. So. You're the best mechanic.
Pumped me up or broke me down?
No, I pumped you up.
Try to break me down.
No,
he said all you do is read off a computer all day.
No, I didn't say that. I didn't. I said you're a very good mechanic. You're very talented and skilled. I swear to God, I said that. You've already
sent you a picture of one the other day in pieces, going, yeah, this is right off the computer.
Yeah. Well, you're pretty good, and you had a tough fall. Second year in a row you lost the Harvey Brothers Whitetail Championship.
I wasn't going to call it a tough fall.
It was tough. I mean, I saw it in you, and for you to just throw the towel in with 3 days left to hunt, 2.5 days left to hunt, I mean, you're breaking.
I literally didn't need any more deer.
Well, I literally needed another championship, so,
See, I had 6 deer and you had 8. Well, I kept 6 deer. I gave one to one of the guys in our group, but I kept 6 deer and you had 8. And I still had 15 pounds more in burger.
Yeah, but I did some different stuff, Jim. I mean, it's a little different.
So did I. I did some shanks. I cut a bunch of shanks off. I think there's just maybe a little quality control out there. Maybe you're not getting it all.
I don't know.
I'm not sure what the hell you guys are doing out there. I think the bush light's making things a little fuzzy, I think.
I'm only drinking Genesee, Jenny Reds.
Yeah, Zayler beers.
Bush lights.
Yeah.
All right.
So we had a great year. I just ended it the way I wanted to end it with that little peckerwood buck that fucking probably would have got my nuts busted for most anywhere else, but I was happy with it.
Yeah, sounds like you were desperate. Shooting a deer on the last day kind of sounds desperate.
that was not a desperate kill.
I know.
I feel like
that was pretty cool.
What I wanted.
That was a whiteout, snowing super hard. You had been hunting hard and hadn't had much of an opportunity at a buck with decent horn. So, hey, you made a
that
good
thing
run.
could have had a 1-inch spike and I would have shot it.
Yeah, it's just what you were feeling.
Yeah, I told myself that day leaving the cabin. I said I'm gonna hike this hill one more time, and I'm shooting any horn I see. And that was the only deer I saw that day.
Yeah. That was nasty.
I was tickled pink, and that could have been Frank, and I don't know if I would have been any more excited than what I was. So
yeah, you might have been a little bit more excited if it was Frank.
I honestly don't know how it would have been possible. I was fist pumping. I almost threw the gun right out of the tree.
Yeah, shoulda. Maybe.
I was jacked up.
Oh, so let's let me ask you this question. So what happened tonight? You missed a couple animals, did you?
Oh boy, that shit was insane.
Yeah.
I was out coyote hunting. I had the Fox Pro going. I'm sitting there going, what in the hell am I doing? I have no idea what I'm doing. And it's just about dark. And I'm sitting in a tree stand along the edge of a pond down in the flats. And
Mic stand?
I was
or-
running the mouse in distress deal. And I had the little thingamajigger out in the field spinning around to the decoy. And I'm like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I haven't seen anything other than deer, of course. And I'm like, right at dark, I'm going to hit this freaking coyote call locator and see what the hell that does. And that thing rang off about 4 times. And on the 5th time, I could hear a coyote over it in the woods to my east. And I let the thing play out, and they started freaking going nuts. And then they stopped answering, and I had shut the thing off to kind of put the ball in their court. And they were freaking loud. And then probably 5 minutes later, it was pretty much dark out, but with the snow on, you could see across, and the pond was frozen. I could see one running across the pond, and it started hooting and hollering and freaking screaming.
Wow.
And it ran into the woods towards one to the east of me. And then they kind of shut down, and I fired the call back up, and they went nuts again. And then they were getting closer, and I shut the call down, and I just had the safety off and the gun up, and they came freaking trotting right down the middle of the field. And I waited for them to get like 50, 60 yards, and I don't know if I overled the one or what, but obviously, looking back at it, I should have just let them run up to the decoy and see if they stopped and looked at it funny, but I shot while they were trotting along, and then I shot a couple more times for good measures. No, nothing hit the ground tonight.
Damn it. So we got some nuisance.
It was
we got
freaking
some,
it was.
Go ahead, sorry.
Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Yeah, no, you go
No,
ahead.
Jimbo,
Yeah,
you. No.
It was unreal. It was pretty much like turkey hunting, is what I could equate it to with how they were calling.
Yeah, that's
coming
pretty
in.
crazy.
Unreal.
They don't tip. I mean, they usually light up like that, and then they just shut down, and you know, maybe they come in, and you don't really see them. I mean, my only experience
That
is
shit'll get you all revved up.
howling with the wolves.
Yeah, how was your walk out back to the
man.
truck?
Yeah, were you know, who was covering your 6?
The Mossberg that I didn't have much confidence in after what had happened.
Were you using your shotgun or were you using a rifle?
I wish I had a damn shotgun.
Oh.
It was my rifle.
Yeah.
If it was my shotgun with buckshot, I probably would have dumped both those freaking things.
How far were they?
Under 50, probably.
Oh shit, that's crazy.
I mean, I never let them stop running. I should have, but
Either of them look mangy?
no, they were both good-looking yotes.
Oh.
Big boys. It was pretty cool, though. I'm sitting there licking my lips going, oh, this is going to be a piece of cake. And then I shot and missed, and it just unraveled after that. I couldn't get the round out, and then another one in.
Yeah.
I just started flinging bullets, and that was downhill from there.
Yep.
Did you?
Then the one howled when I got back in the woods, and I didn't hear the other one howl. So maybe I wounded one.
Billy, have you driven down 78 today at all?
No.
3 fresh deer hit on the road all last night.
Really?
It's the weirdest thing I ever.
There
Lauren
was
even
a
mentioned
lot
it to
of
me.
deer out last night. on the way
Unbelievable.
home.
I've never seen. I mean,
There was
deer get hit there all the time, but 3 in one night is
Yeah.
wild on a stretch of maybe 3 to 5
There was a
miles
pile
of
of
road.
deer out tonight.
Yeah, they're definitely yarding up right now with the snow on, and they're definitely grouping up and hanging in some of those.
I got a feeling.
I saw a
we're-
freaking beast. I saw a beast where you shot yours this year over there, Bill.
A buck?
Yeah, he was huge.
Really?
He had a nice left side and then a screwed up right side. You know that one Angelo shot
Yeah.
years ago
Yep.
up at camp that had like the stub? There's like a stump coming off his head.
Yep.
It reminded me of that deer. It was a real white rack. It was tight, high, thick. It was crazy because I came up over the hill to walk into that little field by Mike's stand, and I was walking on just a freaking cow path of a deer trail, and looking for sheds and whatnot. And I come up over the edge of the cornfield and look down into the next one, and there's like 10 deer standing there just feeding. None of them have their heads up.
Huh.
and I walked right up. I was within 50 yards of them when they finally looked up and took off running.
That's crazy.
And I didn't see the one over in the back corner. And when he picked his head up, I was like, holy shit. And I set the collar down and the decoy down, got my gun up and put it on his head as he was running across the field. And I was just praying for them horns to fall off while he was running across the field, but they didn't.
I got a feeling. I think one of us in the group's gonna break it open this year with a big boy. There's a lot of just nice deer running around.
Yeah. Yeah, there's going to be plenty of conversation around that in the coming months, because I was talking with Dallas today, and there's 3 like good mature bucks hanging right now on the farm. And you know, as folks have been following along, Danny hunts property that backs right up to the farm, and a couple other guys that we're good friends with, they hunt backed up to the farm. Like there's some good bucks on the ground. And then Jimbo up in Naples, most of the big bucks we had on camera yet again evaded us, but they're still hanging around. I mean, we know that chances are there's at least 3 or 4 of those good bucks still alive.
I'm going to try really, really hard again next year to shoot just a really nice 2.5-year-old.
It's not easy, man. You should do it. You should shoot a nice 2.5-year-old like the first weekend.
I mean, well, that's what I did this year.
I know. You should do it again.
It puts the biggest damn smile on my face.
I know. Whatever warms your heart, man.
Just gonna keep on keeping on.
I want to take it to the next level.
2-year-old killers.
Yep. I'm not above it. If I end up wanting to and have the opportunity, and it's like that's the one I want, I'll do it. But with some of the stuff that we're seeing out here and what we're seeing up at camp, I think this upcoming year I'm really going to lock in on trying to harvest my first mature buck. Good. I mean, my buck with a gun this year, he was probably a 3-year-old, and my best buck. What the fuck are you laughing about? Oh, you coughing.
Might as well call it a 7-year-old on the way downhill.
Yeah. He was on the downhill slide. He was 15 years old.
Ground shrinkage.
He was an old deer.
I don't know what you're smoking.
Okay, so he was a nice 2.5. I hope this year, my goal this year is to again win the Harvey Whitetail Championship and make Jimmy really contemplate his life. But also I want to put a big mature buck on the ground. That's my 2020 goal.
Public land buck for me.
I'm glad part of your goal is making me contemplate my life.
Your hunting life.
Oh, okay.
No. I think you have a lot to live for, but it's the brother.
I think I'm just gonna kick this back to what Mark Kenyon said in one of his ending podcasts for the deer season. They're kicking it around, and I think it was him and Spencer Newhart, and he said what he likes to say is hunt your hunt. And I think I'd like to agree with that one. I think he nailed it on the head there.
Sounds like a guy who lost a competition.
You're gonna sit there and talk up your 8 deer and how you shot a giant 7.5 that was on his way out.
Every hunter that's not going to the taxidermist to get one mounted says that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oh shit. No, you're right, Jimbo. Hunt your hunt. Everybody's got different goals and different things, and as long as you're following the rules and you're a legal participant, I could care less. But don't.
I love joshing around and having you picking on me. It's almost been fun losing the last couple of years, letting you have just your glory.
Yeah.
Because you really bask in it,
I do.
I wish we had a podcast like 15 years ago.
Jimbo's gonna be a silent killer. He's just gonna drop a 165-incher or like a 400-pound bear this fall or something. Just not gonna hear from him, but
we'll hear from him.
Something big. It's kind of like Dallas.
I didn't even hear what Danny just said.
Oh, he was just saying that you're gonna shoot something huge this year, and you're just gonna slow play it. You're gonna be not real boisterous about it or braggadocious. You're just gonna kind of do it. But I hope, like you said, Danny, to start this conversation, I hope somebody in our group gets one of those big bucks on the farm. And you just started saying that your goal this year is to shoot a public land buck, which would be that's a great goal. public land here in New York, I would assume you're talking.
Yes, well, anywhere. If
Yeah.
I go to Ohio, do it there. Well,
Yeah.
a DIY. I've shot one in Pennsylvania on public land.
Yeah.
Something. I want to explore some new land, whether it's some public land around here that I've never hunted before, or down in Ohio or whatever. Just getting out and doing it somewhere I haven't done it, and learning the property. I think that is the big thing on my plate about shooting a buck on public land, is learning the property and then hunting it the way it should be hunted.
Yeah. Heard that. So I said my goals. Danny said his. What's your goal, Jim? I mean, I think you said it, but I don't know if you were serious or if you were joking.
Which part of it?
What's your goal for 2020 on the outdoor side of things?
Just kill whatever it makes me happy to kill, I think, is my goal.
Hunt your hunt, man.
I just enjoy hunting. I don't really care
Yeah.
how it ends up, as long as there's something in the freezer.
Yep.
And I enjoyed my time in the outdoors.
Amen to that. Freezers are full. Life is good.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so that's all I got for tonight's podcast. It was fun getting together with the three of us. We've never done this before, so hopefully we'll do this a little more, maybe once a month or once every month and a half or so. Try to update, see what's going on with the three of us. But you guys got anything in closing?
No, I'm pretty good.
I think I'm good.
Keep feeding them, boys.
Feed them.
And breed them if you're breeding them.
Freaking hammer 'em.
Yeah. Thanks for listening. See you later.
Adios.
All right. Lastly, quick plug for our Facebook and Instagram pages. If you are listening to this and you are not currently following us on either one of those platforms, jump over and check us out. We are Pert Near Outdoors on both Facebook and on Instagram. So that's your best place to keep up with us on a day-to-day basis, what we've got going on, and the easiest place to interact with us as well. So head on over, give us a like and a follow, comment on anything that you like, and participate. That's what this is all about, and look forward to meeting you out there. Thanks.